Hello everyone, and welcome to this guide on how to choose your board. Here are the 5 chapters that we will go through. The first 2 ones are width and length. I'll start with those because you can roughly adapt that to your body size. After which, we will talk about the concave. Then, I will mention the different kinds of constructions and shape that you can encounter. And at the very end, we will talk a little bit about pop. Start with the board width. It's the dimension from one side to the other of your skateboard. You roughly want to match that with your shoe size and then adjust it a tiny bit to what you're gonna want to do. The skateboard width, it's always the first information that you get on your board, and it's always in the product name. In order to choose your board width, what I propose is that first you look at this table. It's a table we did to match shoe sizes and board width in order to be somehow polyvalent. After you looked at that, then we're gonna do a small adjustment together to make it fit perfectly the kind of skateboarding that you will want to do. You could want a wider board for a faster kind of riding because you're gonna have wider trucks and they are more stable with higher speeds. Other than that, wider boards are a bit heavier, but especially it's for the flipping rotation that they feel a lot heavier. Even though if you have very strong legs and you're able to move those, then you get very safe catches and landings. So for that, wide boards could be very suitable for gaps and transitions. On the complete other hand, a thinner board would be a lot lighter, especially for those flippy rotations, but it would also be a lot harder to deal with speed and landings. Therefore, those boards will mostly shine for technical abilities, curbs, wheelings, flat ground. Let's now help you choose the length of your board. Mainly, you want to adjust the length of a board to your height. The idea behind that is that you should always be able to spread your legs enough to keep some balance on your board. By the way, when I'm saying that you should spread legs to keep balance, I'm not really talking about the full length of the board. What I'm talking about is the wheelbase. The wheelbase is measured between the 2 first holes, right here. In order to be able to choose your board length, once again, we prepared a table where we match board lengths with body heights. It's very arguable, and therefore, once again, we will need to show what little adjustments you can do to make it fit perfectly to your skateboarding. So you could go for a shorter board because it would help for horizontal rotation, such as shove-its or 180s. On the other hand, a lot of a longer board would make it feel super heavy to go for these rotations. But once again, if you have very strong legs, then you would get safer catches, and of course, for the landing, you will have more room to balance yourself. So it will get a bit easier. Last thing I wanted to mention is that if you have a very long wheelbase on your board, then your tail will feel more heavy when you push on it because of leverage. Other than your tail and nose, boards are not exactly flat. They are concave, like this. Otherwise, they would break a lot. Ideally, in a perfect world, you would want to match your concave with this line of the shoes so that you would be scratching on a lot of surface during gripping. Sadly, we have very few information that makes us able to match concave with shoes. So most brands will define concave as being low, medium, or high, but with no precise figure. So we can't really guarantee that between brands, concaves will be the same. About constructions and shapes now. The very classic way that boards are built is with 7 layers of maple some glue in between, and then pressed really hard into a mold. Some skater will sometimes need 8 or 9 plies to make their board really hard to break. But for those breakability purposes, you could also find carbon fibers or glass fiber. In here, you see carbon fibers going all along of the top layer for more strength. And here on the bottom, you see your carbon disc right at the truck zone, because this is where boards mostly break. About shapes, what you would call a normal board is a popsicle. So it has a round tail and a round nose. If you find boards that don't have round tail and round nose, they will fall into the shaped category, which usually has a squarish tail and a pointy nose. If you're a beginner and you're thinking about starting on a shape board, then I have to say I don't recommend this. If you still want to do so, then make sure you have some friends that are writing those and that they will help you. This last chapter, I will not define pop. I don't think I know what the definition is, but what I can do for you is just show you 3 examples of when it can be used. The first one I'm going to show you is as far as for a whole setup. So for a whole setup, people will be talking that this setup has pop or doesn't have pop, depending on how steep the board gets when the tail is touching the ground. So this will be impacted by many things. By the truck's height, half of the height of the wheels, the tail's steepness, and its length. If we were to talk about pop for a single board, then we would be talking about the elasticity of the wood and its rebound when we hit on the ground, like this. A very dry sound would be a good sign for a strong pop. On the other hand, if the board has taken a lot of humidity, then we would tend to say that it doesn't have much pop anymore. The very last thing is sometimes you'll get to a park or somewhere at the spot and people will be saying, wow, he has so much pop. Well, that just means that this guy can jump pretty high. And this is the end of our video. Thank you for watching. I hope you appreciate the content. We have some links and additional information down below in the description. Other than that, we also have other videos about the other parts of your boards, and you can find the links right here. If you have any further question about what we said, just make sure to let us know.